I mean, we know you're from the city. You got it. You got a nickname. You got it literally on your back. I haven't really heard your story in Michigan, how you started out with MMA and stuff like that. Where, I
Yeah.
guess, what parts from, and where'd you get started at with all that stuff?
I'm born and raised on the west side, so we kind of lived all over. The last place we stayed was Joy and Evergreen. But I say I mainly grew up off of 7 and Outer Drive, and pretty much all over 7 Mile, 7 in Evergreen, 7 in Greenfield. You know how we do. We gonna move around. We bounce around a lot. I went to Southfield High, so they wanted me to go to Henry Ford, because they got the whole like, okay, if you got to live there, that's where you going. They kind of assign you. But my mom, she kind of looked out. She made the trip, and we always caught plenty of buses so that she made sure I go to the right school and go to a good one. So I went to Southfield, and then it was like, it was a lot better than what I'm hearing these days.
Yeah, it definitely is.
And MMA was just one of those things. Like, I just saw it on TV. I just saw it and I actually turned my dad onto it. I used to watch a lot of Anderson Silva and stuff, and I had to show him, like, bro, like, look at what this dude's doing. And before, my dad was like, he's like this kind of typical, like, what the fuck, this is just crazy. Like, these dudes is in a cage just beating the fuck out of each other. Like, this is stupid. Like, what are you talking about? I was always a good kid. I did good in school and shit. So he's like, bro, you're about to go to school and what are you doing? What are you even talking about? So they never would sign me up for nothing. I ended up having to go out for the wrestling team. Because I was already in high school, made more sense.
Yeah.
And then, it's just, I guess the rest is just history. I just took my first fight at 18 over in Hazel Park, and off of 9 Mile and, what was that, 9 and like, I forget exactly what it was, but and I actually had my pops in my corner for my first fight.
That's what's
it was just me and him. He didn't know shit. I didn't really know shit about it. I showed up, no mouthpiece, no cup. I tried to get in the cage. It was like, bro, you got to go get a mouthpiece. So Pops ran to the Walmart down the street, grabbed me a mouthpiece, and then I fought. And he said once he seen me like actually step into the cage, he was like, and he still tell you to this day, he just say like, I just switched something in me switched, I went from being like that kind of quiet, kind of laid back kid to like, I actually feel like that was me that came out,
Tom Finau came out.
Yeah, exactly. And it was the first time he had kind of seen that. And then after that, he was like, okay, yeah, you can make a series run at it.
And it was, so you came into MMA straight from just wrestling?
Yeah, straight from wrestling. So when I took my first fight, I didn't know shit. I didn't know, I mean, I watched it on TV a lot.
Yeah.
And it was always one of those things like, oh, I think I could do that.
Mm-hmm.
And, I just did what I thought I should do and what I seen on TV. Threw some jabs, took them down, got on top, and just start throwing bows.
So what gym? So you obviously transitioned to an MMA gym from there, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Which one was it? Was it one in Detroit or?
No, it was over in Hazel Park too. Guy's name is Isaiah Gaddis. The gym was named Pseudotai. Pseudotai was the name of the first gym. And he was the promoter of the event that I ended up fighting for. So when he saw me fight, and he was asking after the fight, he was asking a bunch of questions. Where do you go? And I'm like, bro, I don't even do this shit. And he was like, oh, you come into my gym on Monday. He signed me up, and then I trained with him for that summer. I went to Grand Valley State. So I was starting. That first fight was in June. I was starting school in August. So once I moved up to Grand Valley and I really started training with a Triumph gym over there, that's when I really started taking it serious.
And when you made that move to Vegas, was there also a difference in training? I guess from hometown, from Michigan to Vegas, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. That move was a little, that move took that took a lot of thought process. It was after my first fight in the UFC, after I fought Ally Quinta. And during the fight, I just knew like I wasn't doing everything that I needed to do to be at this level. So when I got back home and I was in Grand Rapids at the time, I was thinking about moving back to Detroit, and a part of me was just like, what am I going back for? I'm not going back to kind of, to bring nothing to the city. So I talked with my coaches and stuff, and they're like, yeah, you got to go out west. So I just got in the car and started driving, and I ended up in Vegas. And even now, I'm saying the next time that I do come back to the city, is going to be to really give back to the city. You know,
Yeah.
I want to go back and start building homes. That's one of the main things that I'm working on right now. I got a lot of family still back in the city that's helping me like get that off the ground and start building homes, start, going back and just giving back a little bit instead of just going back just to, you know what I mean? Just to be there, just to hang and shit.
Yeah. I mean, you got to do you first before you even do that. So I don't think
Yeah.
nobody should be tripping. You know what I'm saying? You got to go still do other shit. But that's dope of your coaches, to be honest with you, and allow you to do that. You know, they not holding you back by just kind of being selfish and wanting you there. That's super
Yeah.
dope.
Yeah, those are always the people that I try and have around me, like
Mm-hmm.
the people that really got my best interest at heart. Not just like, oh, what can they get off me and what can they do for me? It's like at a certain point, and my coach, this is Sean Desai I'm talking about, who's over in Grand Rapids.
Okay.
He told me even when we first started training, he was like, I can only take you so far. And he used to live in Vegas himself. So he was like, I can only take you so far, and then I got to pass you on to somebody who can take you a little bit farther. And that's what ended up happening. He told me maybe like 3 or 4 years before I even made the move. So
Yeah.
I knew he was, and when he said that, I knew he was the right guy. It wasn't just like, oh, let's do this, let's go as far as we can, let's make as much money as we can, let's do what we can do. It was more like, I want you to succeed. You know what I mean? I want you to do good so that everybody can do good. So I knew he was the right guy for that. And that's all the guys that I try and have with me.
Yeah.
Faraz is the same way right now. Like Faraz ain't tripping that I'm not up in Canada right now. He know I'm going through this. And I'm in the PI. I'm working every day. And he know I'm in the right spot.
For sure. That's even. I just put myself in your shoes in that situation. That's a scary decision to make too, because you said you're going to school to be a doctor or some shit like that before.
Yeah, but not really, to be honest with you. I just I just went to school.
You were young. You don't know what you're doing yet.
Yeah, I had no idea. I just knew, like, everybody told me, like, go to school, go to school, go to school. That's what you need to do. And that was kind of like my way of getting out from the streets and getting away from the shit that I knew I ain't had no business going to. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And then did he pass you right on to Extreme Couture, or that's just the gym you went to? Like, did Sean tell you to go there, or what?
No, that's just what's that?
There's a lot of Michigan guys at Extreme, right? Like Cody Stamen and yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of us now. Cody Stamen, Justin James over there. It's a couple of us from Michigan nowadays. But no, he didn't really. He just told me to go out to Vegas. And he told me to meet Dewey Cooper because he used to train with Dewey way back in the day.
Black Cobra.
So yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So him and Dewey were teammates back in the day. So I came out, and as soon as I met Dewey, that's when I was like, oh, okay, I'm supposed to be here in Vegas. And then I got hooked up with Extreme and all that.
Yeah, Dewey's such an OG, man. He came on the show like earlier in the year, and like he's just such an OG. It was dope, just kicking in. He's just real as fuck too. It's funny as hell. This shit. There's no filter. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. And he's genuine as fuck. He is like one of the most genuine dudes that I met. And like I said, as soon as I met him, that's when I knew, like, okay, that's where I'm supposed to be. Like, you don't meet people like that every day,
Yeah.
It's like once in a lifetime.
Yeah, and the experience is crazy too. Like, you got to think about that point. He was doing that shit as long as you and I been alive.
Yeah, exactly. Like I said, he was training with my other coach, and he was above him. So it kind of like, I can't, like, he already was a world champion. And, when I surround myself by guys who already been there and done that, then I know I can be there one day, So when he tell me he can see me being a world champion, I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, we can really do it.
Yeah, speaking of Dewey too, you guys got to help him with his Instagram. I tried to talk him through getting his shit verified. I send him videos and shit and screenshots and shit. I'm like, bro, can't Keith or like, I'm like, have one of these dudes help you.
Yeah.
Thirsty, trying to choose. I mean, I know I'm pretty cool. My nitty bag, my kitty boots. I got the juice,